Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Artist Mindset. As you might have guessed from the title of this video, or audio if you're listening on Spotify, today's episode is a bit different. And at first I thought I'm not gonna do an episode about this, but I'm just so inspired and so full of empowerment after my interview with Apollonia that I had to make this episode about that. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome back. I'm your host Martina. If you don't know me, I'm an artist and a creative living in Aarhus currently, and if you know me, welcome back. It's nice to see you again. And in today's episode, as I said, I was not planning to do an episode about this, but then I realized that I need to say some of my realizations or considerations out loud, not just for me, but also for others, because I am sure that I'm not the only one that feels like this. And especially after Apollonia's talk and meeting her in person, I know that I cannot be the only one. So, how it all happened, I'm gonna start right there. I'm gonna be totally honest, I didn't know Apollonia 2 weeks ago. It all happened a week before we actually went to interview her, because one of our friends from the radio station, who's also a co-host of the radio, wrote in our Slack group that Apollonia is going to give a talk at Aros, and it's going to be sort of part of the exhibition, of the new exhibition at Aros, which is basically an exhibition of Picasso and Miro and somebody else. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I really wasn't impressed by that exhibition, so I was a bit kind of skeptical, because I understood at first that the talk would be just about that. But then, obviously, as all of us do, I went online and I googled who this Apollonia actually is, right? And God, I have to tell you, I was impressed. And I was not sure, but I had this kind of gut feeling, I guess you could say, that I think I would like to meet that person. So obviously then I agreed. I said I can do the interview, but one of my friends was a bit faster, so then we agreed that she's gonna do the interview and I'm gonna help film it and record it. So we went together, me and my friend Kirsi from the radio station, and we went to interview her. So the day of the talk, actually, I was working from a co-working space where I'm very often, and I met some people that I know, and they asked me, so what do you want to ask her? Do you have already questions? And I said, oh gosh, I have no questions prepared. I don't know what to ask her, and I just hope that Kirsi has something prepared, because she is doing the interview and I'm just kind of the cameraman. But then I just shared that, if I had to ask something to an artist, then I would probably just ask them about how much they're attached to their work. And what I mean by that is not how they are sort of attached in a way that they have to be proud of their work or something, but more like the process of the attachment, how, do you feel very attached to your work? Is it something that you feel like you're doing only from yourself, or is it something that you sort of feel like there is this higher power or something sort of speaking through you, and that's why you have to create, because you are kind of a channel for something higher to give to this world? And also how attached you are also in the other sense of how once the work is done, it's kind of out of your hands, right? Is it something that is defined by some kind of measure, and what is that? Yeah, so I just shared with my friends this, that I'm just curious about this kind of attachment, and I would love to hear from somebody who's very successful, like how do they feel, because I know I have my own opinion and how I feel about my work, but I'm curious about her feeling towards that. And then my friends immediately empowered me, like, oh, you should ask her, that's a really good question, I haven't even thought about it, but sounds awesome, so you should ask her. And so after that, my friend Kirsi came, and we picked up the equipment and we went together. And on our way there already, I told her, like, oh, I'm a bit nervous because I feel like I don't know anything about this Apollonia. I also had a lot of considerations, because, or maybe not considerations, but like internal kind of skepticism a little bit, because I've met some successful artists and talked to them, and I always felt kind of small talking to them in the past, kind of like I have to play kind of a role or pretend a little bit to be somebody I'm not. Otherwise it's not a good image, or not good kind of representations of myself as an artist. So I was kind of nervous, to also talk with somebody really successful like that, because I felt like I can really learn a lot from them, but I just don't know how to talk to them if I cannot be myself. And I also shared with Kirsi, and then she told me that I shouldn't be scared, because actually the one thing that she really loves about Apollonia is that she really speaks her mind, And that's something that I wanted to talk about today, because that's how I got so inspired and empowered. Not even inspired, but empowered. Because I don't feel like I've seen something new or heard something new, but it was the first time I've heard and seen a real fucking successful artist speak and behave this way. And by this way, I mean somebody who was really authentic and honest and was able to be vulnerable, but that was their power. And I honestly am so grateful, and I love that, because it is something that has been on my mind for so long. And that's why I'm also sharing this here right now today, because I always believed, but I wasn't sure. I only had the belief. I only had a faith, but I never had kind of proof. Somehow like when you believe in something as a scientist, and then you discover the proof. This was my proof. This was my proof that you can truly be yourself and authentic, and you don't have to pretend, you don't have to play games, you don't have to play a certain role to be somebody to succeed. And I fucking love that, and I'm so grateful, because I got so empowered to create and to be unapologetically myself by seeing Apollonia and her talk. And I'm just so grateful. I don't know if she's gonna ever see this or hear this, but thank you so much. If you ever do, or if somebody that knows her does, please tell her that I fucking love her, and I think she's so amazing, and what she does is so important. It's so important because, I always believed that, very often felt like I have to pretend, or I have to kind of, say only some truths about my life or my art career, or I just, am not even allowed to express certain opinions in those fancy art worlds, because certain people or artists are so glorified that if you say, oh, I'm not inspired by Picasso, or I don't really like Picasso because of his life and what kind of person he was, that you're just not allowed to say that, because who are you to judge a Picasso? And it's not that I'm judging him. Not that Apollonia judges him, but I think it's totally okay to say that you are not inspired by somebody and you're inspired by somebody else, right? Because we are humans. You're never gonna like all the same people that somebody else. But yes, that was the reality. That's how I felt. Also studying at art school, I often felt like I'm not allowed to say certain things or express opinions. And oh my god, seeing this talk with Apollonia that truly says everything how it is, how she feels it, how she sees it, just purely how it is, plain and simple. I just loved that, and it just really proved me and empowered me so much to be who I am and pursue the life that I want. And she didn't try to soften or intellectualize anything to fit the mold of what's appropriate to say. She was just herself. I think there's so much power in that. And that's why I want to share, because it made me so empowered to just be who I am and allow myself to want the things that I want, because I know it's possible, which makes me to be so sure that it must be possible for you as well. And I just feel like this was truly the right moment for me to meet her, because, and I haven't shared this with anyone, but now I do, I'm planning a performance, because in the past almost 2 years, 1.5 years, I've been on a really intense healing journey, but I've grew so much and I feel like I've changed into a whole new person. And you know, I've been planning this performance where I want to truly be vulnerable but honest, and I want to be really authentic, because this performance for me, very simply, this performance for me is the last act of my transformation. It's basically me stepping into that new person that I'm becoming. And you know, I just saw so much of myself in Apollonia and how she was expressing herself and feeling about certain things. I just felt so seen. And I feel so grateful because I finally felt represented in that real art world, if you can say that, you know. I just felt so represented. And it just made me so empowered, because that just gave me the courage that yes, I can truly be myself. I can truly do this performance as I desire, and just not overthink anything and not think about what might people think or how should I do it to be taken seriously as an artist and to potentially succeed. And it's not to say that I'm gonna have a success after one performance, not at all, but it just empowered me to be who I am and do the things that I feel like I must do, because I'm an artist and I just cannot do it otherwise. I just have to do them. And this just gave me such an amazing kick into my ass to go and do it. It was so empowering, you know, and that's why I want to share this with you, because I think it's so important. I think it's so important to realize that you can truly be who you are and get what you want. And I'm gonna stop right here, because I feel like I've shared everything I wanted to say. And I just wanted to also mention again that if you are interested in this duality of power but softness and vulnerability and strength, and you would love to see the performance and be not just a witness but be a part of my final act of my transformation, it's gonna happen this autumn in Gallery Tese, and you're more than welcome to join. I would love to see you there, whoever you are. And I just hope that this episode was at least a little bit inspiring. I'm gonna link also, of course, Apollonia's work down below so you can check it out. And I hope that you got at least something out of it. The interview with Apollonia is already out. It came out last week on Thursday, in our local radio news show Sit Down station. So you can check it out there. I'm gonna also link it below. And let me know what you think, and if you also got inspired, or if you have other artists that I should check it out, because I'm really curious and I love to learn. And wow, this was just so empowering. So please, I hope that you also got something out of it. And if you did, let me know down below. If you want to support me, you can always like, comment, subscribe. I'm always grateful and appreciate it a ton. And I'm gonna see you in the next episode. Bye.